Okay. So this topic is from chapter 5 and 6 of the textbook. In chapter 5, there are basic some basic introduction is given for traffic flow characteristics, and in chapter 6 there are more details given about volume and traffic flow. So let us start. When we say traffic stream, that is a word used in many textbooks for defining traffic. A stream means something which flows. Okay, something which flows there, or it has the ability to flow. So you must have heard the phrases stream of thoughts, stream of signals. Okay, and then we have the stream of water as well, and so on and so forth. So a traffic stream is uh, made up of drivers and vehicles. A traffic stream is made up of drivers and vehicles, and the traffic stream, or these drivers and vehicles, are interacting with the physical design of the road and the general environment. Okay, the traffic stream gets involved or gets affected by the physical design of the road and the environment. Now, when you collect traffic stream, or when you observe traffic stream in different locations and different times, their behavior will be different. The behavior of traffic stream in different locations and different times will be different. They do not behave in an identical manner. Why? Because of two reasons. You can see the two reasons here: variations in individual vehicles and variations in driver behavior. At different places, the mix of traffic, or the mix of vehicles and traffic, is different. For example, industrial areas may have a higher proportion of trucks. A commercial area may have a higher proportion of buses. If you go to another country, maybe a country like Malaysia, Pakistan, India, you will see a higher proportion of three-wheelers and two-wheelers, a much higher proportion than what you see in Bahrain or Saudi Arabia or Middle East countries. So the mix of vehicles is different according to location as well as timing as well. The mix of vehicles also changes according to time. So for example, the construction vehicles, they move in specific times. The construction vehicles move during specific times. Okay, like early in the morning, late at night, and so on and so forth. Especially the ones which are transporting materials, they move at specific times. So again, the proportion of traffic can change according to different times. And the other thing which changes traffic stream is the driver behavior. The driver behavior. Drivers tend to behave in different manners in different locations, different times. Okay, in congested areas, they are more careful. In on highways, high-speed roads, they are more relaxed and comfortable. Again, in different times, they behave differently as well. Early in the morning, they may be sleepy. Late in the evening, they are tired. Okay, so we don't drive properly at any time, right? One reason or the other. So a driver behavior changes according to time and location and direction and weather conditions and so on. So traffic stream also changes. So because traffic stream is made up of vehicles and drivers, and these things change at different locations and different times. So we cannot expect the traffic to move similarly or in identical manner at different locations and times. According to traffic flow, we have two types of facilities. According to traffic flow, we have two types of facilities: interrupted and uninterrupted. If you remember, in the last or in the first chapter, we discussed classification or types of highways according to function. That was arterial, collector, and local roads, right? That was according to the function. This classification is according to type of traffic flow you are allowing on the road. Okay, so traffic facilities are basically also highways, and when we say classification of or types of highways according to traffic flow, then we have only two, which is uninterrupted and interrupted. Uninterrupted flow facilities are those facilities which do not have external interruptions. Now, what are external interruptions? Traffic stream, as I said earlier, is made up of vehicles and drivers, right? So any interruption which is caused by anything which is not vehicle or driver. Okay, any interruption which is caused by something external which is not part of traffic stream itself. Okay, that is an external interruption, like a stop sign or a construction activity, and so on and so forth. So this is an external interruption. So a highway which does not have these things is an uninterrupted flow facility. Those highways which do not have external interruptions are said to have, or they have given another clarification here, basically meaning no intersections. No intersections, because each intersection is an external interruption. Okay, so those highways which are uninterrupted, they have full access control. Now again, going back to what I said in the previous chapters, in the first chapter, highways have two main functions. Highways have two main functions. One of them was access. One of them was access. Who can tell me the other function of a highway? What is the other function of the highway?
Doctor, the mobility.
Mobility, yes, mobility. You are right, mobility. So, and as I said earlier, mobility and access are inversely proportional. When you increase access, mobility goes down, or it is more restricted. So full access control, the word control here meaning restriction. So access to uninterrupted flow facilities is fully restricted. Fully controlled means fully restricted. So if access is fully restricted, then mobility is very high, because they are opposite to each other. They act as opposite to each other. So access is fully restricted, that means mobility is very high. So uninterrupted flow facilities do not have any intersections, because intersections provide access and access can restrict the mobility. So they have full restriction of access and they have very high mobility. Okay, so high mobility meaning they have very high speed and very high volume. These types of highways are mainly known as freeways. So freeways are uninterrupted flow facilities, or they can be rural two-lane highways or rural and suburban multi-lane highways. Okay, so in urban areas they are known as freeways, and they can also be rural two-lane highways or rural and suburban multi-lane highways. So you can see here rural and suburban areas. These areas have low population. These areas have low population. So the highways which are built in these areas by default become in uninterrupted flow facilities, because access is not required. Interruptions are not required. For example, you build a road near Manama Souk. So that area is so congested, it has high population demand, high traffic demand, and you say I will build an uninterrupted flow facility which is passing through that area. People will think you are crazy. Okay, you are going to build a highway which will not have any access to that from the area. They will think you are crazy. But if you are building a highway near Causeway, okay, the one which you already have, Sheikh Isa bin Salman Highway, it's an uninterrupted flow facility. Why? Because there are no, the population near that highway is very, very low. We have few malls which you can see from the highway, but even those are slightly away from the highway. So you have some exits by which you can go to these malls, and they are enough. They are sufficient. Okay, so a highway in that particular type of area already or by default becomes an uninterrupted flow facility, because intersections are not required there. Okay, so on uninterrupted flow facilities, since there are no external interruptions, so traffic flow solely depends upon the interactions between vehicles and design of the road and general environment. Okay, the flow of vehicles is affected by the design of the road and the weather conditions and anything which is on the side of the road. Okay, then we have interrupted flow facilities. Interrupted flow facilities have fixed external interruptions. Interrupted flow facilities are fixed external interruptions. So external, the word external I've already explained. What we mean by fixed here, something which is present on the highway whenever you come there. That is fixed. Okay, so let me give you 3 examples and you tell me which one of them is fixed. So for example, interruption because of construction activity. Okay, B is interruption because of a traffic accident. C is interruption because of a traffic signal. Which one of them is fixed external interruption?
Traffic signal.
Traffic signal. Okay. Anybody who has any other idea?
Construction activities, Doctor.
Construction activity. So you are saying A. Okay. Anybody who is saying A or B? Most of you are saying C. Anybody who says A or B? C. Yes, you are right. C is the correct answer. Signal is the correct answer because obviously construction activity is also not supposed to continue forever, right? Construction activity is also supposed to end at a particular point. So this is also not supposed to be a fixed external interruption. So I think you have the idea because of this example that what we mean by a fixed external interruption. Okay, so a traffic signal, a stop sign, a yield sign. So American terminology is yield and the British terminology is give way. So we follow that terminology, right? So we are following American standards, but with British terminologies. Okay, so we call it the give way sign. Okay, so give way, yield means the same thing. Any unsignalized intersection is also an interruption. Because even if I don't put a sign there, but you know the drivers might come from the other side or pedestrian may be crossing. So obviously your flow will be interrupted whenever you are coming close to that intersection. A driveway, any exit from a parking area, a parking lot or a garage, that is also interruption. Any connection with the on-street parking, any area or any segment of the highway which has on-street parking facility. So maneuver into and out of that parking space will also cause an interruption. Obviously, it is fixed. And any other land access operation, you are there's a gate of a house or a gate of a shop which is directly connected to your street or directly beside your street, a main gate, back door, side door, whatever. That is also a fixed external interruption. Okay, so all these are examples of fixed external interruptions. Highways which have these types of interruptions are interrupted flow facilities. Then we come to traffic stream parameters. Parameters, a parameter means something which is used to measure. Okay, a data on an item which is used to measure something. Okay, so for example, weather parameter, temperature is a weather parameter. You measure the intensity of weather using temperature. Okay, similarly, the level of water is a parameter for rainfall. We have that much accumulated water. Okay, so it's again a rainfall parameter by which you can measure the rainfall. In the same manner, we have traffic stream parameters by which you can measure the flow of traffic. Okay, and these parameters can be macroscopic or microscopic. Now, who can tell me the difference between the words? Okay, microscopic and macroscopic. Just a word. What is the difference between the two words macroscopic and microscopic? Size. Micro is not visible to the eye. Okay. Okay, you are correct. Okay, it's a size. Yeah. Yeah, it's general body. Yeah. The main difference is the size. Yes. Okay. So when it comes to traffic stream, okay, micro is applied to one element of traffic stream, which is one vehicle or a pair of vehicle. Okay, so when I will explain different microscopic parameters, you will see why we need to extend it to pair of vehicles. But otherwise, micro meaning something which is focused on one individual element, and macro means something which is looking at the whole body or the complete structure. So macroscopic parameters are those parameters which are used for measuring the flow of group of vehicles. Okay, like the complete flow of vehicles or the complete group of vehicles. Traffic stream as a whole. Traffic stream as one unit, as one entity. And microscopic parameters are those parameters where we are studying the flow of one vehicle or a pair of vehicles. So microscopic parameters never go beyond a pair of vehicles. Okay. Now you can see three principal macroscopic and microscopic parameters: volume or rate of flow, speed and density. These are macroscopic, and the speed of individual vehicles, headwind spacing are microscopic. Okay, and then you can see 0.2 of macroscopic and 0.1 of microscopic. It's the same thing, right? Speed. Okay, 0.2 of macroscopic is speed, 0.1 of microscopic again is speed. What is the difference? When we are taking speed as macroscopic, that is the average value for all vehicles in the stream. So you measure different values and then you took the average, then you are giving me speed as macroscopic, macro. And if you tell me that particular car had a speed of 60 kilometers per hour, you are giving me speed as microscopic, and which is why it is mentioned clearly here, speed of individual vehicles. That is microscopic. Okay. Now we'll start the discussion with macroscopic parameters, starting with volume and flow rates. Now volume is a general term which is basically defined as number of vehicles passing any stretch of the highway. That stretch of the highway can be one point or one lane or one direction or even both directions of the complete highway. So any stretch of the highway. Number of vehicles passing any stretch of the highway in a unit time. That is the general definition of the word volume. Okay. Now the unit of time for which you are taking the number of vehicles can be different. And on the basis of that, we have subcategories of volume. So volume can be classified on the basis of the unit of time for obviously this is done. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Victor, yes.
Okay. So when you say the word volume, okay, it basically means now I'm coming to a more refined definition of the term volume. So volume is when the number of vehicles are measured or calculated for 1 day or 1 hour. So volume is when you are observing or measuring the vehicles for 1 day or 1 hour, vehicles per day or per hour. Okay, that is volume. Flow, on the other hand, is when the vehicles are measured or observed for less than 1 hour. So in your term projects, I asked you to observe the number of vehicles for 15 minutes. Okay, in general, it is also called as volume. If you go to your textbook, you will see the values for 15 minutes are also written as volume. Okay, but I try to avoid this confusion because at one point they are saying volume is per day or per hour, and at that time they are saying even 15 minutes is also volume. So I try to avoid that. In the slides, you will see I have replaced the term with flow. So flow is when the number of vehicles are observed or measured for less than 1 hour. So the number of vehicles which you observed for the first submission of your project will not be called as volume, it will be called as flow. Okay. And then we have the term flow rate. Okay, flow rate, the unit of flow rate is also per hour. But then why don't we call it volume? Because it is converted from the flow value. Flow rate is calculated from the flow value. Okay, now in some places you will see the word flow rate, and some places you will see the word rate of flow. So flow rate and rate of flow, they mean the same thing. So going back to the discussion, flow rate is calculated from flow. So somebody tells me I was observing the number of vehicles for 15 minutes and I observed 400 vehicles. Okay, and then he takes this value 400 and then he converts it to per hour. Okay, so how do you convert it to per hour? You observe 15 observe for 15 minutes. So 15 minutes is 1/4 of an hour, 0.25 of an hour. So you divide 400 with 0.25, you will get the rate in 1 hour. Okay, so this 1600, which is calculated by using this 400, will not be called as volume because that was not actually measured or observed for 1 hour. This is calculated, okay, using the flow. So we call it flow rate or rate of flow. Okay, so volume is when you actually observe or measure it for 1 hour, and rate of flow is when you took the flow value and you convert it to per hour rate, that is rate of flow or flow rate. Then volumes, like I said earlier, can be per day or per hour. So now we are talking about daily volume. Okay, volume which is measure observed for 1 day. Daily volumes are used for documentation and studying the trends and doing the planning. Okay, so when you are observing the trend of traffic for the, let's say, last 10-15 years, then we use daily volumes to study those trends. Or if you are observing, if you are calculating volume for future 10 years from now, 20 years from now, then you will also use daily volume. Okay, another important characteristic of daily volume is that it is the combined value for both directions. So you take the value from each direction and then you add them together for daily volume. So if I say daily volume is 30,000 vehicles per day, that is a combination of both directions. Maybe out of 30, 10 were in one direction, 20 in the other, but I will give you the combined value for both directions. Daily volumes can be averaged in 4 different ways. You can have 4 different types of average daily volumes. You can have average annual daily traffic, average annual weekday traffic, average daily traffic, and average weekday traffic. Average annual daily traffic, AADT. What does it mean? So you take daily traffic, meaning 24-hour volume, for all 365 days of the year. If it's a leap year, then it will have 366 days. So you take 24-hour counts for all days of the year, and then you divide by the number of days, 365 or 366, whatever the actual number is, and that will be called as average annual daily traffic. So daily because each value was taken for each day, annual because it was done for the whole year, and average because then you took it by dividing with the number of days. Okay, so this is why we call it average annual daily traffic. Then we have average annual weekday traffic. Average annual weekday traffic. So before I explain what are the weekdays, what do we mean by weekdays? Weekdays are which days? Sunday to Thursday, yes, the working days for us. Okay, Sunday to Thursday, yeah, working days, and Sunday to Thursday for us. If you go to Western countries, then it will be Monday to Friday. So working days basically. So now you can see I have added the term weekdays here. Okay, but the rest of the things are the same. Average annual weekday traffic. So again, you observe traffic for each day of the entire year. Okay, and then from those days, before you take the average, exclude the weekends. Exclude the weekends. Okay, so only traffic will be taken from days which are Sunday to Thursday for us. So then you have so obviously in 1 year we have 52 weeks, and from these 52 weeks, if you take out the weekends, so you will be taking out like around 104 values. So when you divide, you will divide with the number of weekdays in the year. Okay, so you have the data for each day of the entire year. From that data, exclude the number of weekends and the data of the weekends, and then whatever is remaining, you divide by the remaining number of days. So you will have around 260 days. Okay, like I said, in some years it can be more or less, 261, 259, 258. It's around 260 days in the year. Okay, so average annual weekday traffic means the data of the weekends is excluded from the number of days as well as the traffic values. Then we have average weekday
Doctor,
traffic. Yeah.
that means we don't count the weekends in our calculation.
Yeah, for average annual weekday traffic, you don't count the number of weekends.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the average daily traffic. Average daily traffic. It's the same as average annual daily traffic. The only difference is you can see the word annual is missing here. In this case, the word annual is missing. Okay, so the data is taken for less than 1 year. The data is taken for a number of days, but for less than 1 year. Maybe for 1 month, you took the data for 1 month or 1 week or few days in a week or few days in a month. Okay, so when you take the average for a period of daily volumes less than 1 year, we call it ADT, average daily traffic. Average daily traffic. Okay, we cannot call it annual. And then if you have if from that data which you have taken for less than 1 year, you exclude the weekends, it becomes average weekday traffic. It becomes average weekday traffic. Okay, so average annual daily traffic for the entire year, average daily traffic for less than 1 year. Okay, but it's the total traffic divided by the number of days for which you have taken the data. And then average annual weekday traffic again for the entire year excluding the weekends. Average weekday traffic for less than 1 year excluding the weekend. Okay, so these are the average, the average daily volumes. Okay, so for a particular location, you can see the entire data is given in this table. Okay, so data is given for each month. Column 1 is the name of the month. Column 2, number of weekdays in that month. Column 3, number of total days in that month. Okay, so total days are fixed for 11 months of the year. They can change for February. Sometimes it's 28, sometimes it's 29. But the weekends you have to count. Each year, each month may have different weekends. Weekdays. Number of weekdays you have to count. Okay, so these values are counted. And then we have total monthly volume in column 4. So this is the total volume for January weekdays plus weekend. Okay, and then we have in column 5 the total weekday volume. So 208,000 is the volume only on the weekdays. The weekend volume is extracted or subtracted. Okay, now for this location they are saying calculate ADT, AWT, ADT and AWT. Okay, so let me go here. These are very simple calculations. Okay, but it may help you to clarify the concepts. Okay, so we are calculating AADT first. So AADT means you take total traffic. So total traffic, they have already added all the values here. So total traffic for the entire year is 5,445,000. Okay, and then the number of days in the year is 365. Same fixed value basically. So 5,445,000 divided by 365 will give you AADT. How much is that? Yeah, okay, for the case of a volume, you can round off the values to the nearest number. Okay, in case of volume flow, wherever you are using it, you can round off the number to the nearest, you can round off the figure to the nearest number. So because we know we cannot have fraction of a vehicle, right? So all volumes are rounded off. All volumes are rounded off. Okay, then we have AAWT. So I will take the total volume of the weekdays now, which is 2583,000. 2583,000. For this year, they are saying we have exactly 260 days. We have exactly 260 days. How much is the AWT here? AWT how much? $9,935. Okay. 9,935 because per day. Okay, now you can see the other ADT and AWT is also required for each month. Okay, so AADT and AAWT will be for the entire year. ADT and AWT cannot be for the entire year. Okay, if you take the values for the entire year, we cannot call it ADT or AWT. Okay, so in this case, ADT and AWT for each month because the values are given for each month. Okay, but if you take the values for the entire year, it will be either AADT or AAWT. Okay, so keep in mind ADT and AWT cannot be for the entire year. Okay, so for example, I'm calculating ADT or AWT for January. Like I said, these are just simple calculations just to explain the concepts. Okay, so for January, the complete traffic is 425,000. Number of days in January 31. Similarly, if you calculate AWT for January, it will be 208,000 divided by 22. So yeah, give me the values here. How much is the value for each of these parameter? Okay, 13710 for this one, I guess. Okay, what about the ADT? $9,455. Okay, a couple of important points. You can see the units are the same, vehicles per day for all of them. Units are not changing. Okay, weekends, weekdays for the full year or for part of the year, the units are the same, vehicles per day. Secondly, I will repeat that point. One. Okay, why did I put vertical curves? I don't know. Okay, so the annual volume or whatever volume you are using. So when I say annual, it doesn't mean from 1st January to 31st December always. Annual can be any can start from any day of the year if you are completing 365 days. Okay, so for example, if I ask you to do the start the data collection from tomorrow, so your year will start from 4th of October and it will end on 3rd October next year. Okay, like your birthdays, right? Or like our academic year. So we don't all celebrate our birthdays on 1st of January, right? We start we celebrate when we started, when we were born. In the same way, traffic data can be collected for the entire year from any day of the year. The only thing is you have to complete it till the next year till the same day. Okay, so annual doesn't mean that it should be for the entire. It should always be from 1st of January and so on. Secondly, you can see the overall averages are higher than weekday averages. So when you say AADT, ADT is higher than AAWT. And similarly, ADT of January is higher than AWT of January. So what can you tell me about this location? From this, why all averages are higher than the weekday traffics? Any point, any comment?
Victor, that's mean that probably most of the traffic in the day is from the weekends. So the weekends are more crowded, yes, than the normal weekdays.
Yes, yes. Yeah, weekend traffic is higher. That means weekend traffic is higher. So more traffic on weekends as compared to weekdays. This is a reverse scenario on urban roads. On many urban roads, you will see the reverse scenario. Weekday averages will be higher than weekend, or sorry, the overall averages, because in urban areas, weekdays. But this particular location may be near a facility which is used for, which is used more on weekends, maybe near a mall or a picnic area or something, a park or a beach or something like this. So if you're designing this particular type of road, then you should not be taking AAWT or AWT. You should be at least taking the overall averages, maybe ADT or AADT or ADT, or if you want to be more precise, then use the average of the weekends. Then you can introduce one more term of daily volume, which is the average volume on the weekends. Okay, but if you don't want to do that, then at least use ADT or AADT. Don't rely on AWT or AWT, because different types of volume, so that we can pick a specific value for our design which is more suitable and appropriate. Okay, then the next thing is volume taken for 1 hour, hourly volume. Hourly volume is used for design of highways and design of traffic control devices. So if you're designing a highway or a traffic signal or a roundabout or any such facility, you will be using hourly volume. I will take you the hour which has the highest volume in the day. The single hour which has the highest volume in the day, and we call that hour as the peak hour. I'm sure you have heard. Okay, hourly volume is taken for the peak hour and it is taken for design, and hourly volume is taken for a particular direction, the direction which has more volume, the direction which has more volume. So in the whole day, you will see which direction has more volume as compared to the other, and the hourly volume will be taken for that direction for design. Okay, so hourly volume is taken for one direction for design. Okay, so it's always, so if I say 2000 vehicles per hour, so I'm talking about the volume of a particular direction. Okay, it's not the same, or it's not the total volume of both directions. Now you must have seen the highway design doesn't change from one direction to the other. Although we are taking hourly volume for one direction, but the design doesn't change. So you will not see 3 lanes in one direction, 2 lanes in the other. Okay, like for a simple highway segment, you will not see this. Why? Because traffic flow reverses in different times. So if you have 2000 vehicles per hour in the morning peak hour going from A to B, you will have similar, if not the same, similar volume coming back in the evening. Okay, people obviously tend to return home. Okay, so that's why you see, since volumes are similar in different directions at different times, so you see the same design being used. The hourly volume which is used for design is termed as directional design hourly volume. Directional design hourly volume, DDHV. DDHV. Directional, why? Because we are taking it for the peak direction, the direction which has more volume. Design, because we are using it for design. Hourly, because it's taken per hour. Okay, so DDHV. So how do I calculate DDHV for design? You take the A value. What is the A value? Average daily volume. Any type of average daily volume which is available to you and which you feel suitable. for example, in the previous example, I told you you can take AADT or AWT, AADT for your design. Instead of taking AAWT, you can take AADT. So A will be replaced with AADT. So A here is a general term for any type of daily volume which is suitable and available. So I feel I should take AAWT. I'm designing an urban road, so A will be replaced with AAWT. If I feel I should take AADT, so A will be replaced with AADT. Yes.
How should I choose, or it's not,
it depends from place to place.
Does not matter.
No, it matters. It depends from place to place. So later on, I will show you some graphs and we will discuss it in more detail how to decide it. Okay, but
okay, thank you.
Availability is the prime factor here. So if I give you data for 1 month, obviously I cannot ask you to calculate AADT, right? So availability, I think you can understand up till this much, that if something is not available, I cannot use it. So if you do not have the data for the weekdays, then AWT or AWT cannot be used. Okay. So availability is the main issue for the time being. Later on, we will discuss it, how it can change from one location to the other. Okay, so A will be replaced with any sort of daily volume, average daily volume, and then D and K. What is D? Percentage of traffic coming in the peak direction, and what is K? The proportion of traffic coming in the peak hour. So out of the total traffic, how much comes in the direction having the higher volume? That is the D value. And how much percentage of the whole day comes in the peak hour? That is the K value. Okay. Now from where do I get K and D? We have a table. Okay. So in this table, you can see the values according to type of facility and location. So for example, you see the values for rural areas, suburban areas, and for urban areas, we can have a different range for radial route and circumferential route. What we mean by radial and circumferential? So radial basically means, let's say this is the city. So radius means what? A line which goes from center to the boundary, right? So a radial route is which is going from the center of the urban area towards the outskirts, towards the boundary. If you're designing such road, that's a radial route. Circumferential, which goes around the boundary, which goes along the boundary or around the center. A road or route which goes along the boundary or around the center. Okay, around the center. So if you're designing a road which goes around the center or along the boundary of the urban areas, that is a circumferential route. Okay, so based on the basis of location and route, you can decide the value. Okay. It's a very small example. I will go through it. Okay, just give me a couple of minutes. We have a rural highway. 20-year forecasted volume is given AADT. That is 30,000 vehicles per hour. So in the next 20 years, we are expecting this much AADT. Using the data of table 5.2. This is table 5.2. So using the basically K and D values. Okay, use the K and D values from this table. Find out the design directional hourly volume that is expected on this highway. So using the factors for rural highway, K ranges from 0.5 to 0.15 to 0.25 and D ranges from 0.65 to 0.8. So if I use the lower values firstly and I calculate DDHV, so AADT multiplied by K and D, I get 2925 vehicles per hour. And if I multiply with the higher value in the range, I get 6,000 vehicles per hour. Okay, so DDHV range for this highway can go from 2925 to 6,000. Now this is a lot of, this is a big difference. More than double. So the value from the range can actually affect a lot in your design hourly volume. Okay, so which value from the range should we pick? Usually it's the mid value. Okay, so instead of using 0.15 or 0.25, I will use 0.2. Instead of using 0.65 or 0.8, I'll use their mid, which is around 0.72 something. Okay, but so this is the common phenomenon, take the mid value. But if you have data about the population, then higher population means lower value in the range. Higher population means lower value in the range. K and D factors are inversely proportional to the traffic and population demand. They are inversely proportional to the traffic and population demand. So you see, when you go from rural area to urban areas, the range is decreasing. The values in the range are decreasing. Why? These factors are indicators of traffic uniformity or traffic flow uniformity. So lower value means traffic is uniform in more hours of the day and in different directions. So when traffic demand is higher, we have more uniformity, less variation, and vice versa. Okay, so if you have the data about the population demand and traffic demand, then higher population and traffic demand take lower value from the range and vice versa. Okay, and I'm talking about the same range. Okay, I'm not talking about different areas, because for different areas then we have different values. So how to pick the value from the range? Depending upon traffic and population demand. Okay, and it is the reverse relationship. Okay, now I'll stop here. Any questions, any queries, any suggestions, anything you want to say, please go ahead. Okay, if everything is clear, then thanks for listening, thanks for participating. Have a nice day. All welcome, and see you guys tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, all of you welcome. You're most welcome.